to start this off. Welcome to the show.
It's not
Bunch of fucking
turntablism.
bullshit.
It's not
Shut up!
turntablism.
I hate you so much.
It is.
Shut the fuck up, Johnny. Dude, I fucking hate that. Good morning. Good morning. I'm here with my two co-hosts as usual. Schmaltz and Fern. Two excellent dogs. Fern entering her teenage years. Kind of being a bit of a bitch lately, but you know. She's a pretty good dog overall. Pretty great dog. Pretty fantastic. Little demon. She's looking at me right now. Hi, sweetie. Hi. Don't bite me, you piece of shit. No. Oh, she's such a good little baby. Good baby. All right, focus, Tom. Sorry, my bad. Welcome to Things I Hate 85. Doing it live from now to the end of time. Got a lot of nice things on sale, stranger. Merchant from Resident Evil 4. Pretty sick game for the GameCube. Play it if you haven't. Pretty rad. Got a lot of nice things on sale, stranger. Thank you. Look it up. You'll see my impression is perfect. Look it up. What's going on? I don't know. It's snowy out. Snowy day in Montreal. Nice to be inside. Cozy. Yeah, I got my two dogs here. House is a mess. Had a rough week, at work. Well, house is actually not a mess. This room was a mess. House is looking up. Had a rough week at work. Got some bad feedback at work. I don't really want to get into it, but work is hard lately. And it's just, I've been putting a lot of effort in, and it feels like it's not recognized. So it's just, that's hard. That hurts. Comedy scene in Montreal is kind of fractured. I made a post calling out his producer, Sid Kalar from Montreal Comedy Club, and some things that he was doing that I didn't really agree with, And because of that, basically, the people who fuck with him are like really now, like, it used to be just like basically a Cold War in the Montreal comedy scene where no one would say anything, but everyone would be like, oh, I fucking hate Sid, or like, no, you guys are wrong, we love Sid, all this shit. And I was kind of in the I don't like Sid camp, and then no one was saying anything, and then some shit happened that was basically like Sid, there was a new like, nobody in Montreal makes money, right? Nobody is getting paid well, and also there's a whole bunch of shit that was going on, but I mean, I'll just leave it at that for now. Nobody really makes a lot of money. Sid doesn't pay well. Nobody really pays well in Montreal, including Sid. So anyway, there was this producer that came on the scene. Her name was Wendy, and she was paying really well. And not only that, like, she was booking really good shows at big venues, because most of the shows in Montreal, like, the audiences aren't great, and like, they're in kind of whack venues like bars or something. They're not like really legit. Her shows feel legit. They were in venues that had like legit stages, legit green rooms. She would get us like, a full fridge of drinks. It felt like being an actual comedian instead of just like some fucking, what's it called? Schmuck. Some fucking schmuck in Montreal who's just at a bar telling dick jokes, So it was cool. And basically what happened is Wendy put on a show at a venue that Sid had used a couple of years ago. And he didn't like that. And he called her and threatened her, not with violence, but it was basically like, you'll never work again in this town kind of thing, right? And he undercut her and stole the venue back. So Wendy was paying people really well. He basically went to the owner and was like, I'll do this for half the price. And then he stopped paying comics, or he paid them way less or something, whatever it was. But he changed the price enough where he like beat out her deal and then just paid us really shit. So that for me was the line. And I didn't say anything at the time, but there was some stuff recently that kicked off where everyone was kind of like, oh man, Sid's fucking full of shit again, And I was like, okay, well, I suppose I should say something. So I wrote this post basically talking about the Wendy thing. And anyway, because of all this drama recently, the scene has been really split, and the people who fuck with Sid are like really fucking with Sid, and the people who don't fuck with him are like, we made a new Facebook group. It sounds dumb, but anyway, so all that to say is like, the scene is split and it sucks. It doesn't feel nice. I saw some comedians that I knew that I was like, friendly with before, some friends of mine, and they really fuck with Sid, and I saw them at a show and it was just awkward, right? And it was fine. It was cordial, but it doesn't feel nice when the scene is blown up like this. But I was talking to my buddy about it, and it's like it kind of had to happen because to me that shit is inexcusable. You can't just you can't go and undercut somebody and then stop paying artists. It's pretty cut and dry shitty. So I feel bad about it. I'm not even sure I should have talked about it on here, but that's what's going on with me. So I feel bad about that kind of. Work's been hard. And then Caitlin's home, and I love her, but sometimes it's still tough with the cleaning shit. Sometimes we fight about that, but honestly, we had a pretty nice talk the other day, and it was nice. So Caitlin is doing really great. I love her, and I got my 2 dogs, so that's good. But yeah, work and comedy have been kind of hard, especially work. Work's been the hardest. But anyway, I feel weird about talking about that Sid shit, but I suppose it just makes sense. Shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Okay. All right. Mystical sexual assault. Frequently I get in kind of a tism mode, and I like to listen to the same song on repeat. Just scratches that part of your brain, that just feels good. Recently I was listening to Shake Your Ass by Mystical, Shake your ass, watch yourself, shake your ass, show me what you're working with, right? Classic. Turns out Mystical got charged with sexual assault, and I was listening to the song and I was like, tracks. You know what I mean? No one's surprised that the Shake Your Ass guy got charged with sexual assault. It's kind of refreshing, just had to be like, I hope you guys can't hear, anyway, kind of refreshing that he was just straight up with it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think anyone really thought like Michael Jackson was banging kids, right? Nobody really thought that until it kind of blew up, right? There were probably rumors in Hollywood, but I don't think anyone in the general public, I don't know. But, it's not like you don't look at Michael Jackson. You look at Michael Jackson and go like, that's a weird guy. But you don't look at him and be like, definitely banging kids. You look at Mystical being like, shake your ass. And he's like, yeah, I've definitely got a sexual assault. You know what I mean? So it's just nice that it's straight up. It's like Robin Thicke when he was like blurred lines. And then I think he got, and it was like, well, yeah. Who else? Oh man, like the Who, all the famous rock stars are fucking pedophiles. It's so depressing. Every time you go to listen to something, it's like pedophile, pedophile, pedophile. The guy from the Who, one of the lead singers from the Who, yeah, ding, ding, dun, 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 dun. It's fucking pedophile. Who else? I can't remember. Oh, Gary Glitter, from Happy Gilmore. Dun 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 dun. Hey, ba-dum 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 ba. Hey, ba-dum 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 ba. They play that song a lot at like sports games. It's called Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. Huge pedophile, right? What's his name? Goodness, greatness, great balls of fire. Jerry Lee Lewis, pedo. Elvis, pedo. Pedo. Guys, get a fucking hobby. Christ. You'd think playing, your whole life is playing music. If I was a working musician, I would be, I was gonna be like, I'd be way too busy doing cool shit than banging kids. But like, hopefully my sole motivation for not banging kids is that I'm too busy. Hopefully there's like other. Anyway, I'm digging myself a hole, but you get what I mean. It's just like, damn, fucking figure it out. Anyway, all the famous musicians, mega creeps. And if they're not pedos, they're fucking creeps, you know? It's like, damn. People really do get into music just to get laid. That's definitely why I started playing guitar. When I started playing guitar, I was like, I'm going to be a rock star and bang ladies, for sure. And then I started playing, and I was like, this is really hard. I'm going to see if I can do some other shit. Mostly. It's hard to play guitar. Anyway, okay. Caitlin didn't like the mini fridge. Caitlin keeps all her like really nice skin stuff. Some of her nice skin stuff needs to be in the fridge because it has to be like cold or whatever. And you know, her birthday's coming up and Christmas is coming up. And I'm always trying to like, she's really good at giving gifts. She always gives the most thoughtful, like, you know, it's like a really good gift giver picks the shit that's like at the edge of your consciousness, you know, where like definitely it's crossed your mind, but like you could never get it for yourself, but you would love it, you know, and it kind of like exists in a space where you're like, yeah, it would be great if I had that, but I'm not going to get it. And so you think about it and maybe you talk about it every once in a while, but it's so kind of, it's not close enough to the realm of possibility that you would get it, you know? And gift givers, really good gift givers can pick up that layout, that topography, like a radar and just, dude, Caitlin is so good at it. It's such a gift, no pun intended, but anyway, so she's great. So I'm always trying to like return the favor. I'm not a good gift giver. I'm way too selfish. I'm way too self-absorbed. You know, I'm always in my own head. I have really hard time remembering people's names because I think half the time when I meet people, I'm just thinking about, I'm thinking about how I'm doing in that social interaction and like the social dynamic. Most of the time what's going on in my head is the social dynamic. I remember from a very young age being like, there's a social hierarchy and I need to be the best friend, which is like so fucked up, or like the top guy. Insane, you know, but I remember that. So I feel like now I know that that's incorrect, but the patterns are still there. And that's why it's hard for me to remember people's names, because I'm kind of looking at the social dynamic rather than remembering the individual parties in it, you know. And I don't remember someone's name because I immediately judge them and be like, you fit right here in the social dynamic. You are a threat or you're not. You're a threat to my dominance or not, which is insane. I know it's crazy, but it's like, you know, I'm working on it. It has to do with insecurity and whatever. I don't know. So I have a hard time remembering people's name because I'm not looking at them. I'm looking at how the landscape is playing out, the social dynamic and landscape, which is shitty. So I'm trying to like, when people say something, when people tell me that, I'm trying to be like, look at them and take them in. I was better at remembering names when I was a kid. I think because I was so less like insecure and more just like living in the moment or whatever. But anyway, where's I going? So yeah, so that same kind of thought pattern makes me a bad gift giver because I'm not really paying attention to people. I'm thinking my own thoughts and like I'm looking at them a bit, but mostly with how their existence affects me, which is shitty, but you know. So that makes me a bad gift giver, so I'm trying to change it because Caitlin is a really good gift giver. And anyway, I was trying to think of a good one, and I was like, oh, her products. I was like, maybe it would be nice if her products could be not in the fridge, right? Because that's kind of weird, but in her bathroom, right where she needed them to do all her stuff. And I was like, oh, that would be cool. And then I was like, what could I get from that? Oh, I'll get a tiny little fridge, like a little box where you can just put it on her bathroom counter. And then she can, you know, have her things. Sounds good in practice, or sounds good in theory. In practice, what is happening? In practice, I am a man buying an appliance for his girlfriend. What's like the oldest joke about men and shit? Don't get your girlfriend's appliances, you know? But dude, I got so, you know, I just, you know, again, I thought I would be like a great boyfriend, perfect. I'm the best boyfriend. It turns out I am not. You know, I'm good, but like I'm learning. So you know, and then I was kind of talking to some of her friends, and I was like, "What about the fridge idea?" And they were all kind of nicely like, and then eventually I kind of started. I was like, "Yeah, I don't think that would be good." And I told Caitlin about it because I had a hunch. I was like, "I don't think this is good anymore," and she was like, "No, that would have fucking sucked." And I was like, "Nice." I was like, "Nice," because at least I recalibrated my radar. You know what I mean? I fixed it. My radar was off. I was like, "Oh." The item at the edge of Caitlin's consciousness that she's thinking about sometimes, but that she would never want to buy for herself is a tiny fridge for her bathroom to put her creams in. And it turns out that was incorrect. That's not at the edge of her consciousness. That's far out in the mountains of shit she doesn't care about, you know. The plains, the delta. Anyway, so I recalibrated, you know, I fixed the wavelengths, I fixed the antennae height, and now I have some other ideas that I think I can action on. Not ready for kids because Fern walked away. The other day, I wanted a hug from Fern, and I crouched down. I was like, "Here, Fern," and then she looked at me and then turned and walked away, and I was crushed. Right, I was crushed. I had to stop for a minute and recover emotionally because of that tiny interaction. And I thought to myself in that moment, I guess I'm not ready for kids, right? Because if my dog crushes me by refusing me one time in the day, one time, because she's very cuddly, one time refusing me affection. Well, if my child does that, you know, I'll hit the bottle. I'll be in the gutter by 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? Fuck it. Just throw me the heroin, you know, let's get the fentanyl. Because I can't, my kid doesn't hug me one time, I'm out. Fuck. Absentee dad, call child services. I'm out. I'm a house of cards, man. I'm an emotional house of cards. You pull one, I'm toast. I tumble down, you know. A lot of guys, tough emotionally. Not me, I'm fragile. Cry a lot, you know, need a lot of support. You're my child. You're barely cognizant, but I need a hug right now. Toast. Fuck it, man. Heroin, whiskey. I need it to deal. What else? Gambling, prostitutes. I'll go in the forest and isolate in a cabin for 25 years. Because my child didn't hug me one time. You know? I mean, it sounds I'm trying to make it sound ridiculous, but I mean, no, yeah. Anyway. But, yeah, I'm kidding. It would be okay. But I was just like, my buddy has a kid, and his kid's going through a phase where, like, he only wants to hug his mom and, like, be with his mom. And it's hard on him. And my buddy is a sweet guy, you know? And he was telling me, he's like, dude, like, he's a big guy and he's really sweet. And he's like, my kid only wants to hang with his mom and hug his mom. And he goes like, no, daddy. That would fucking crush me, dude. I'm jealous already of Caitlin and Fern because I spent all this time with Fern. Caitlin's not even here. And then Caitlin comes home and Fern's kind of cuddling up to her. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You know? I'm like a jealous fucking boyfriend over my dog and my girlfriend. Anyway, so, you know, I'm ready to have kids. I'd be a great dad. I just want to say. Should be worried about in the bath. Oh. Every time I go to the bathroom, my dogs, you know, come by the door and whine. And Fern just like bonks her head in and walks right in. And I read online it's because, you know, dogs in the wild, they're their most vulnerable when they're taking a shit. And that's why they always look at you when they're shitting because they want to make sure that you're watching their back. And I'm pretty sure that's why they whine and come in the bathroom when I'm in the bathroom because they know they're like, dude, you're taking a shit. we're gonna watch your six right now. Don't worry, we got you," which is sweet, you know. And but then I always am kind of like, you know, especially Schmaltz, he's at the door and he's like, and I'm always like, guys, relax. I'm just in here taking a shit, you know. But then sometimes if you're fighting for your life on the toilet and you're like, oh, I wrote my dog should be worried about me because, you know, because not to be gross, but you get like Mexican food, you know, I don't know, Indian, all the stupid stereotypes of stuff you eat that makes you have to go to the bathroom. And, you know, I'm fighting for my life on there, and they should be worried because I might not make it out. But like, yeah, I never, all the food stereotypes of like you eat that and it makes you have diarrhea or whatever. I never really understood because it's like, it was never that consistent for me. Or maybe I just didn't take a note of it. Anyway, so yeah, so I wrote they should be worried. I don't know. This is dumb. Let's move on. Oh. So, you know, AI is out. And everyone is shitting on it. And I will say, I think AI art in general is not the move. Especially like paying AI. Especially like paying people who make AI over people who don't. But like I use AI every day for my work, and it's super tight. You know, like stuff like reformat this spreadsheet or like analyze the difference between these two files. Like that's fucking amazing. It's invaluable. You know, here's a bunch of info. Make me a PowerPoint on it. Like it's great. And people are like, well, it's AI slop, and it's like, yeah, it is. But there's a lot of like incredibly useful shit. Like I like to do. I think I said this already, but I have a bunch of, here's all the ingredients in my fridge. Make me like a meal prep plan. You know, it's great. It's really useful. And I don't know about the energy shit. I mean, I suppose it would take a lot. I think that's a bit of a psyop. You know, it's like there's other worse things going on. But anyway, I suppose it does take up a lot of energy. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is like, there's a lot of people who are like, fuck AI. And you know, I get it because all the data centers and I get the negative impact. And then there's all these people who are like straight up like, fuck all AI art. And, you know, I'm not defending it, but it's like, well, I guess I am defending it. What I wrote was like, if there's a kid and he lives in, you know, buttfuck nowhere, and he's got, you know, he lives in country Farmville and there's nothing going on. If that kid can make a cartoon in his basement, is AI still bad? You know, because I was kind of that kid in a way where I was into all this creative stuff, but the barrier to entry is kind of hard. You know, it's like, I don't know. It was hard for me to imagine being a comedian. It was hard for me to imagine performing in any way. I was always just thought I was going to be like a businessman. I thought I was going to be an inventor when I was young, and then I realized, oh, that's not really a fucking job. I'll be a businessman. What are you doing? Don't eat that. You know, so it's hard for me to imagine, hey, a career in the arts. And AI lets you create. It's, you know, that's what I wrote. That's why I wrote. It's like, that's the question. Is like, if a kid in the middle of nowhere can make a cartoon in his basement, would that be bad? Would that be, you know, oh, AI art, it's terrible? In my opinion, no, it wouldn't be. It would be really cool because this kid, you know, he's like, finds this outlet, creative outlet, and creates something from his mind. And yeah, it's AI, and yeah, he didn't draw it, you know, and yeah, he didn't do it, but you know, he still made it, and it's still a form of expression. Now, as I'm saying this, you know, I would hope that, you know, because I guess the trade-off with it is like, it does kind of cheapen the experience, right? If you're the only tool you use is AI to create, if that's your only creative tool, no, you know, that's shitty. But there's people, like I think AI augmentation is really cool. You know, like I saw this comedy poster made by this guy and it was like pixelated and he used AI to animate the pixels. If he hadn't done that, it would have taken way longer and maybe he wouldn't have done it. You know? So it's like, is that bad? If he made the pixel art and then used AI to animate it, is that bad? I don't know. I think that's pretty. I was like, this is a sick poster. And he was like, it's AI animated. And I was like, well, now I feel weird about it, but you know, I still think it's cool. So, you know, everyone is saying like AI art is terrible and it should not replace, like, AI should not replace animators. There's a big war going on right now between animators and AI precisely because AI is so good at doing animation because it's so like algorithmic, you know? And we lose. If that happens, we really lose cuz like real animation, I don't think AI art could ever replace real art. I'm pretty confident. You know, who knows? Maybe it'll get good enough where it'll simulate human creativity. That would be a truly sad day, I think. I don't know why. Maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe it would be cool. I don't know, but you know, there's something really beautiful about like hand drawn animation, like, you know, what's it called? Studio Ghibli, Miyazaki. You know, gorgeous. So, but I just like everyone is like AI is awful, and I'll be scrolling and I'll see some creation where the author is like they've done something like, and it's AI. It's not AI only, but it's augmented, where they had a puppet, but they animated it. You know what I mean? And that shit is really cool. And realistically, like those people probably couldn't have made these creations without it because it would be too time consuming or take up too much resources, you know? And that is cool. Like AI enabling creators to do things that they could not before. If your only thing is you're pumping out AI slop from prompts, yeah, that's kind of shitty. But if you're a creator and you're in your studio and you're a multimedia artist and you got all this shit and you're like, man, I could do X, but it would take me a year and, you know, 100 grand. Or I could do it in a day with AI. Like, that's cool. You know what I mean? I mean, it's contextual, right? Because if you're robbing other people, but it's like, if like artists don't have money. So if like, or if you can do like a proof of concept where it's like, look, we can do this, and then maybe later if I get some money, we can do it for real with like real, like that's what I mean. So it's like, I don't know, people are like AI is bad, and I'm like, AI is a tool. It can be a creative tool. I don't think we need to view it as the source of art. I think that would be bad. But as a tool, the same way a paintbrush is a tool, or like a pottery wheel is a tool, or like a DaVinci is a tool, DaVinci video editing, right? All the same way. I use AI for my fucking comedy clips to reframe the shot, right? So it follows me around on stage. If I didn't do that, it would take me like, I would never put out any fucking clips because it would take me forever. Or I'd put them out and they'd be shittier because it would look less professional, you know, blah, blah, blah. So everyone's like, fuck AI. And yeah, AI should not replace humans. And we shouldn't, especially with animation, but in general too, for like CGI. CGI is also artists. That should not be replaced. You know, like animation. And I'm sure there's many other examples I can't think of. But like, I'm just saying, if used as a tool by creators to improve or enable them to make stuff that they couldn't before and enable them to push their creativity farther, yeah, I'm in favor. I think it's cool, you know. So yeah. Oh, category is songs whose openings are infinitely better than the rest of the song. Nominees are Money for Nothing by Dire Straits and Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. You know? You're in the jungle, baby. You know, that opening, goosebumps. The rest of the song, fucking, I guess, you know, it's cool. It's fucking dad rock. But the opening is, you know, the ending too is fucking sick. There's this part of the end where it goes like down, 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 duh. And then Axl Rose goes, huh! And then they go, bam, fucking rad. But the middle is good, but it's just, the opening is miles ahead. Money for Nothing, Dire Straits, everyone knows that one, right? I want my MTV. Boom, doo 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 doo. That riff is sick, and then it comes in, and you're kind of like, it's sick, but it's like all the hype is. You're like, I want my money on the MTV, and you're like, okay, Dad, you know. So I don't know, interesting. As opposed to one of my favorite songs, "Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress." She was a long, cool woman in a black dress. It's a 5'9", beautiful, tall. And round, cause that long, cool woman had it all. Right? Classic. Long, Cool Woman. The Hollies. And the opening slaps. And the song fucking hits. Right? So I don't know. Those other two songs, it just pissed me off because the openings are like fucking hype. And the songs are fine, you know. So anyway. No one can get the dick temperature right. I mean, by now the whole fucking world knows that, you know, the whole fucking world knows that I come fast. All right. I'm sorry, Mom. You know, I can, you know, I got a bunch of clips in the chamber. You know what I mean? Like, it's not one and done. It's like, there's clips in the chamber. I got them, but they're, you know, it's rapid fire, but there's clips, you know. So usually the number of bullets makes up for the rapid fire, because it's like, you know, and then we stay out. I stay up. So don't go around. I don't want to hear nothing about Tom Murphy's clips running out. Just calling it out, all right? But the other thing I hear all the time is like, dudes can't get it up. Dudes can't get it up. I have a hard time getting it up. I've never had that problem in my whole life, you know. Fucking drunk, high, morning, night. I suppose the only time I've had it is like, ironically, like probably, maybe like once or twice when I feel like if I can't get it up, it's because I'm going to sleep, right? It's like I'm like, and then it's like, oh, you know what? And I'm like, no, I'm tired, and then I'm asleep again. So it's kind of not really like, if I'm in it, you know, it's up, dog. You know. So anyway, but a lot of guys have that problem, and I just wrote down like, nobody can get the dick temperature right. We need the Goldilocks dick temperature, right? Getting too fast, can't do it. Too fast, can't do it. Too fast. We need just right. Just right. Who's got it just right? I don't know. Not me. I'm too hot, bro. I need to be cold a little bit. Need some cold. So, yeah. Where's the cool down? You know, this is incredibly personal, but like, I don't want to talk about this. This is too much. Even for the 5 people who listen to this is way too much. Anyway, you can't get the dick temperature right, you know? I looked up online, like, strategies for, you know, helping me out with my issue. And everyone's like, you should be lucky. Like, I can't get my dick hard. Like, you should be lucky. You should be lucky. I'm like, I'm not lucky. My problem is valid also. Okay? I need some shit to help me.
And I was like, how about some topical cream? And they're like, you don't need topical cream to numb it. I was like, yes, I do. They were like, you'd be lucky. You'd be lucky. I'm like, you'd be lucky. Like, you know, it's a fucking issue. So I got to get the dick. I don't know. I'm uncomfortable. Feels good to put socks on. Feels good to take socks off. Credit goes to Caitlin for this one. You know, it's weird. Feels good to put socks on. Feels good to take them off. That's some Zen shit. You know what I mean? It's like, why would it be both? Feels good. Put socks on, it feels good. Take socks off, also feels good. The universe, you know, fascinating. My socks are on, I'm happy. My socks are off, I'm also happy. My socks are on at the wrong time, I'm unhappy. My socks are off at the wrong time, I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy. Fascinating, right? My socks are off me and wet, fine. My socks are on me and wet, not fine. You know? My socks are off me and dry, fine. My socks are on me and dry, also fine. Hole in my sock in the right place, right? Fine. Hole in my sock in the wrong place, terrible. Right? Rock in my sock, awful. Rock outside of my sock, fine. Rock in my shoe against my sock, bad. Not as bad as in my sock. You know, arbitrary guidelines. Fascinating. Sock comes on, I feel good. Sock comes off, I also feel good. Man, if that isn't some Zen shit, I don't fucking know, you know. Who knows why? I don't know, but that's the most profound shit I've heard in a while. Isn't that amazing? Sock comes on, feels good. Sock comes off, also good. Oh, that makes me feel good. It's like everything will be okay, right? Socks are on, great. Socks are off, also great. I love it. Beautiful. Full service gas station. No thanks, you know. It's like, you know, I guess this is more my problem, but all I get from a full service gas station is guilt. I just get guilt because it's some guy making fucking, you know, $10 an hour who walks out in the freezing winter to pump my. I'm like, dude, you don't need to do this. You know, like I can, like, what are you getting from this? And also, I don't want to tip you. I don't want to tip you because I don't need this. I don't need the service. I don't want the service. This is a fucking relic. This is a relic from the 50s. I don't want full service. I don't want the guilt. I just want to pay for my gas and get out of here. You know, I'm an antisocial person. Really, I don't want to tell you how much. I don't want the fear of being judged by you for whatever amount of gas I put in. You know, the other day I had to fill up a rental car and I had to return it back at full because that's what I got it at. And my brain short circuited when I got it. And I was like, fill it up, but only put in $25. And it's like, okay, well, those are mutually exclusive, right? It's like filling it up is going to cost whatever it costs. And $25 is absolutely. So, you know, it's like if I was on my, you know, so I don't need the extra complexity in my life. This feels like dumb. But anyway, I fucking wrote it down. That's it. That's all we got. Probably shared too much on this episode, but we're putting it out. We're consistent every Monday or weekend for consistency. Love you guys. Bye.